That?
I don't
That voice? What? Stop!
know. God,
You already knew.
All right.
You knew. You turned airplane mode on?
Yes. Fuck.
I'm in a goofy little mood.
Good. All right, we watched Shot in the Dark. Let's talk about it, shall we?
Let's
do it. All right. So this is about a guy whose wife dies, and he is grieving hard, and the killer's still on the loose. There's people that are ending up in town dead, and their body parts are arriving to the police in the mail, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I would say without spoilers on that.
I think that's fair.
That's enough.
That's an easy little quick synopsis.
Okay. So this is free on Vudu if you want to watch it. You can rent it on any other thing, but I mean, Vudu, free.
Yeah.
So ads though, if you don't want to watch ads, you can rent it. So I think the biggest takeaway from this film is just how genuinely confusing the overall plot ends. Like, I get it, and I do want to talk spoilers, so if you haven't seen this, I'll let you know when we're getting there. But before we do, let's talk spoiler free for a minute. There's like a subplot going on in here that I really don't understand, like the inclusion of at all. Like, at all.
Yeah.
And then the way this ends, you're just kind of like, huh? And this is one of those movies that's like based on actual true events, which means literally nothing. It just means like we took very basic facts from it and then we made up 99.9% of the rest. Right. It's kind of like The Strangers, right? Like, they found out that those people were killed in their house. And they were like, all right, we're going to make it where it's 3 masked killers. They friggin' stalked them all night. And then they told them, like, we came to you to kill you because you were home and all that shit. Like, that's all made up. Right? And this kind of stuff happens in film all the time. Like Wolf Creek is another example where some people went missing. Right? And then... And at the end of the movie, you think the guy's going to get there. So you'll be like, oh, he's the guy who tells the story. And it's like, no, he dies. And you're like, so a couple people went missing. And then you just assume some Australian nutcase, like, locked them up and tortured and killed them.
Right.
Based on
like what?
Nothing. 2 people go missing, they're murdered. 2 people go missing, you can write literally anything you want.
Yes, absolutely.
So with this one, yeah. So I can't tell you... I guess what I can say is the opening of it has these opening, like, credits that say that it's based on actual events and that, like, on November 10th, 1990 something, the cops were receiving body parts in the mail. Right. The next day, the killer was dead. Right? And that's it. And then you're like, okay. And then you get into the film. And then the movie ends, and you're just kind of like, I don't really understand. Like, I can piece together some things, and I'm all about ambiguity.
Of course, yeah.
But this is too vague. This is too confusing to where you're like, okay. And I guess, like, you could say, like, the director or the writers, like, they're trying to be like, well, we don't really know what happened, so we're kind of trying to fill it in. But it's like, yeah, but you made it up.
Right.
So, like, you made up the rest. Why not just get us the rest of the way? Or, like, leave enough breadcrumbs that aren't confusing to where you can be like, okay, I have a pretty definitive answer. There's a couple little things that I'm not sure. That's not how it is here. Like, I'm 50% sure I know, and then the other 50, I'm just like...
Yeah. I was just very confused. I feel like, the positives of the film for me was that there was some pretty cool, like, shots and cinematography, like different transition shots that I thought were cool.
The film was not shot in the dark. So
it was
that's
not
good.
shot in the dark.
False advertising.
So I was into that, and I feel like the acting, was fine from everybody. But I was just very confused. Like, by the end, like, we were talking and, like, trying to figure out, like, what was going on. And we got most of it, but it just felt like we had to put too much effort into that, unfortunately. And the ambiguity, if it is there, like, it doesn't work in this case, at least for me.
The subplot just feels like padding to the runtime.
It does.
Like there's no point to it at all.
I know. I feel like it could have totally been left out. And if there was a point to it, I'm just missing what that is. Like, I get the I get the connections between the characters. Like, and we were paying attention to it.
We were very much paying attention to it.
Especially because, like, we were talking about it, like, throughout.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Because, like, you had said something towards the end, again, without giving away spoilers, that you were like, oh, they're going to make this person seem like they did this. And that didn't happen at all.
No, but I did guess what was going to happen about, I don't know, an hour or maybe a little less in. I was just like, oh, this is what's going to happen. Then that's what ended up happening. But I still didn't understand why. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, the why is a big question mark.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, couple more things before we get into spoilers. Number one, why is this movie called Shot in the Dark?
I don't know.
You got anything?
No.
Having just watched the movie?
No.
Shot in the Dark?
But it wasn't shot in the dark.
Because, like, you could take this saying, right? Like, I'm taking a shot in the dark. Like, I don't know who did it, so I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and guess.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, maybe, but...
Because that would make sense if he was just, like, I think somebody killed my wife, right? So I'm going to just take a shot in the dark and say it's this guy and then attack him and blame him for killing my wife. Even though I'm not 100% sure, I'm just taking a shot in the dark. That's not how this works. That's not this film at all.
No.
So the shot in the dark thing, like, I get the saying. I know the saying.
Right.
It's just guessing blindly. Or literally, like, a shot in the dark. There's none of that. Like, I don't know what the title is.
I guess there is a literal shot in the dark at the very end.
Oh, come
but
on. There's no way that's
not
it. There's no way that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely don't know what the title means.
That's annoying.
So.
And number two, I did really like the lead guy. I actually think he has a lot of talent and potential for the future. I think that he's got a lot of charisma and he plays off of people really well in scenes. I was noticing, just like there's some scenes with him and his friends and like flashbacks and whatever. I just thought there was a good charm to him. And he's got a dick that's like, woo! We see his dick in a mirror and I was like, whoa, I actually had to rewind it for Kaylee because I was just like, did you see that elephant trunk that he calls a penis?
Right.
Jesus Christ. And that was flaccid. I was like, bro.
He also reminded us of a mix between Adam Driver, Justin Long, and...
That's good. That's good. Friggin' Pablo, I forget his last name,
right.
from friggin' Halo.
From Halo, yeah.
And Orange is the New Black. But I really liked him. And his dick.
He did. Yeah. He definitely was the best actor for me in the whole film. I think everyone else was, they were fine. Like, there wasn't any issues. But I agree with you. I think he's definitely got some promise. I don't know what else he's
She agrees with me about his dick. That's what we're really talking about.
You're right.
So, all right, let's get into spoilers because for anyone who saw it, I want you to try to figure this out with us. Or maybe you're the filmmaker and you can fucking tell me. Or you're someone who's smarter than us and you're like, dummy, this is what it is. So, okay. Spoilers for the film, if you haven't seen it. So, okay. This guy was dating his wife, right? And she broke up with him. And so now he's pissed off, kills the chick, and frames the husband for the murder. Right? Like that's it. That's the whole thing. And then like, okay. So at the end it made it seem like he was abusing his wife
Right.
So he was beating her up?
I don't know, because I feel like, we've got like a bunch of flashbacks of them arguing, but there was none that I remember of him like actually hitting her or anything. Right?
No, not that I ever saw.
I don't know that he was, but it's possible that they could have gotten into some bad arguments.
But I'm pretty sure he said it was like he was arrested for like domestic violence or abuse or something.
I don't know.
I thought that was like a line at the end, and I was like, wait, that nor here nor there on that. Like, okay, he was hitting it. Like, are you implying he killed her? Like, that guy killed her, right? Like, the guy who framed him is the one that killed her, or not? Did he like do this because he's like thinks he killed her? Maybe somebody killed her, and then he's taking like a shot in the dark saying it's the husband, and it wasn't.
Maybe.
And it's like he framed him for a murder he didn't commit, but he just thinks he's an asshole, so he goes after him. But who's the other guy?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's the fucking guy that he kills? Because I was thinking these are just girls that are girls. These are just guys that girl was dating. Sure. Right? Because there's some infidelity going on. I'm thinking maybe she was screwing other people, but show us that in the film if she was. Or is this just his ex-boyfriends, any guy she was ever with? Because he's at that party and he talks to that one dude, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know her, Lily. I know Lily. We went out once." Yeah. And it's like she has a reputation of going out with guys and like, not because she supposedly like breaks up with the dude who was, doing this, who ended up framing him for the murder. Mm-hmm. Right? Like she was hanging out with him. Then he was trying to get her back by leaving flowers on her doorstep and pictures of himself. Yeah. Right? But then it's super weird because the guy in the pictures, the cops are like, "Is there anything you see here?" And there's clearly the flowers that he leaves her on the doorstep, suggesting that he's the killer. Right. Right? He killed her. Right? I do believe the guy who frames him kills her. I mean, I don't see it any other way. Unless I'm going to be told wrong. I'm wrong. That's fine. But it better be by the fucking filmmaker. But he also lies to the police. Yeah. I don't see anything when he clearly sees the fucking flowers. And you could be like, well, maybe he's glad she's dead and he's like, he doesn't want the killer found, but he's suicidal. Yeah, like, I don't think that's the case. So why is he lying? I don't know about the flowers when the guy had a fucking picture of himself in the box. Right. And it's like, this is probably your killer. Yeah. She was being left pictures and flowers by this specific guy, and we see the picture. It's the killer. Yeah. So why wouldn't he be like, yeah, those flowers shouldn't be there. The flowers are being left by this guy. Same kind of thing. He won't leave her alone. I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue. And that's part of what's so frustrating about the movie. Because I feel like it was a really competent film. Yeah. I just am so confused. And I feel like the flashbacks were also confusing to me. Like, we couldn't really tell if they were linear or not. Yeah. And that was like throwing me off because I was like, wait, what is the timeline for their relationship? And it's because like down? Everything's wonderful. Then they're like fighting like crazy. Yeah. Then they're getting married. Yeah. And you're like, and that's a weird order. It usually is like they're in love, they get married, then they're fighting. You don't do, I'm in love, we're fighting, now we're married. What the hell? Yeah, I don't know. And like you had said that maybe they were trying to kind of give a more realistic, view of a relationship. Sure. Especially in the memory of the relationship after someone's been killed or passed away. But I don't know, and I think that the other guy that's in the room with him whenever he's trapped, the one that comes out that the killer like chops up, we don't even like see his face very clearly. So I don't know if that's because I would think like the only other person I could think that would be that guy from the party. That was like, we went out once, but I don't feel like we can see his face at all, so I don't know. I don't think it's him. I don't think so either. The only thing I can think is that this is some random guy just to stage it more like he's a psycho. and he's like sending more body parts than just him, so that there's like less attention on why did you take just him, right? It's like, oh, he killed multiple people, like he brought, chopped up this guy next to me, and it makes it look like, well, he was too busy doing this, and then, but who shot him in the back?
I know, that's what I don't get either.
He's in the bathtub,
like,
and he's like incapacitated.
Yeah.
So who sliced his Achilles tendon and then shot him in the back?
I feel like, I mean, he could have sliced
when
his
he's staging the murder. I don't understand who he's. I'm not saying I know who shot him in the back, and I know who sliced his Achilles tendon. I'm saying, who are the cops supposed to think shot him?
That's what I was confused about too, because I'm like, he could have pulled like the self-defense thing, like I escaped, cutting his Achilles tendon, and then I shot him. But then he like goes inside to be in the bathroom, so that doesn't seem like that's the intention. Is to be like, I killed him for, to save myself. I don't know. I'm very confused by that too.
Just so you guys know, because I watched a fuck ton of CSI. This guy would be caught because he would have, and they would, for sure, because they wouldn't have anyone to look at for the killer, like on the guy who shot him in the back.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, there's only one guy alive here. I can't find any other trace. So they would test his hands and his clothing for GSR. And they would find that he has it all over him, which is gunshot residue. It blows back on you when you fire a weapon. So, like, he wouldn't get away with this. Okay, this is not a good plan. He sets up this kill room. It wouldn't work, but whatever. It's a movie, so I don't really care. But regardless, I don't understand the plan.
Yeah.
He never says a word, which is super fucking frustrating. And I get it. It's supposed to be frustrating for the guy. And it's like that whole, you're leaving it up to your imagination to a degree. So it's like scary to you.
Right.
And like, somebody's ex could do something like this and frame you for a murder after killing your wife and making you be miserable. And then there's the whole subplot of like, he's banging his friend's girlfriend, but he decides like, why do you come here? And it's like, I come here to get fucking laid. I don't know. And she's like leaves, and then we just like go to this party where her boyfriend's there, and because that other guy won't screw her, the main guy, she decides to screw some other guy. And then the boyfriend comes in, and then he's just like, what's going on here, after he like pushes the guy around, beats him up a little bit. Then they have the conversation, and she's like, this is over, and this is like this big dramatic moment of their breakup. And then he gets in the truck, and he finds the guy's flask on the seat, which I'm assuming, because I thought he was gonna find the flask, and then he was gonna be like, son of a bitch, he was fucking this guy, I know whose flask this is, and he was gonna go to his house and confront him, which he does. Drive to the house. Right, he sees like, he pulls up and the cops are there. Right, then he gets like, then he goes and like buys a Winnebago, and then just leaves. Yeah. Like what?
I don't know.
Like
I know that's the whole subplot. I'm like so unsure
did that have
what the point was.
Yeah, did that have like any connection to anything that was going on? Like, was he wasn't in on it?
No.
Like, why is he buying a Winnebago and driving away? Like,
because his girlfriend was cheating on him and his friend's dead.
But like, why did he saw the flask and he was gonna go confront him, and then he saw he was dead, so he was like, time for van life.
Yeah.
Like,
pretty much.
what?
Pretty much.
But what relevance did that have to the film?
I don't know.
What connection? Because I thought like for sure he was gonna like come there to confront him, and then he was gonna catch the guy in the act of trying to frame him. And then he was going to fucking like kill the guy and rescue him. And it was going to be kind of this like weird mixed message of like, you shouldn't fuck your friend's girlfriend, but because you did, he saved your life. Right? Like, you lost your girlfriend or your wife, and then you fuck somebody else's girlfriend, and then you kind of get rewarded, even though you kind of want to die. Right? Like, he wants to die in the beginning of the film. And then he gets his wish. But then he just gets blamed for his wife's death, but he's dead, so what does he care? Like, keeping him alive would be more like if the guy killed himself or something and then like framed him for the murder, what he couldn't get out of.
Sure.
But then, like, did he ever put that hat on his head so that they could prove that there was, like, hair in the hat that's actually his hat? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's all stupid shit. I don't care about that. That's nitpicky forensics nonsense. What I really care about is, like, what the fuck is happening in this story that makes any sense. I just don't get it because I feel like they set up all this intrigue and mystery of, like, why is this guy doing this? You know, why did he kill the girl? Why did he kill him? But you kind of fill in some things. It's like, all right, he was in love with her.
Yeah, but
you know, she left him. He freaked out. But now he wants this guy. But who are these other people? Why is he mailing off? Like, he's trying to frame it.
Yes.
Right, I get it. He's the victim. He's in the tub, so he mailed some of his fingers. I feel like he could have just sent, like, I don't know, like some of his blood. Or like something.
Sure, but there's
or just like a picture of him like tied up in a tub or something.
I mean,
you don't have to cut your fucking fingers off,
right.
You psycho.
Like you said, there's not enough. Like, they built all the intrigue up, and there's not enough payoff for that.
Hell no.
Like,
there's no
the
payoff.
Questions they're too many. We have too many of them.
I just don't feel like they're answerable. I don't feel like they're answerable. I don't think anyone's going to be able to come at us and be like, oh, well, you know, the person who the cops would think shot him in the back is maybe the friend who has the motive to kill him because of the girlfriend, and that's why he's now a nomad who had to buy a Winnebago and go on the run. But it's like, if that's even the case, why isn't it explicitly said, like, now, you know, the cops are looking for this guy who shot me? Anything.
Yeah.
So it's too fucking vague. It's I have to fucking connect way too many dots. It's just stupid. Like, I'm all about these movies that leave these breadcrumbs and these like kind of like, you know,
like
dots.
winding narratives that you have to sort of pay attention, and those are great.
Connected all sorts of films like that. I love doing that shit. And watch The Empty Man, which we just watched, or watch these things where you're like, oh, that's cool. Because this happened, and then he did this.
Right.
And like,
We're very
really,
observant
really cool.
viewers. So when we get confused by things, it's just like the general audience has to be just as confused, if not more.
Sure.
So, and it's a shame because, like I said earlier, I feel like the film is pretty competent in a lot of other ways. It's just that the story was too convoluted. And
yeah, I would have much rather watched the lead swing his dick around for an hour and a half. Than watch the story we got, because I seriously am just so frustrated. I wanted to be into this, and I was, and then I wasn't. Like it kind of got towards the end, and I was just like, I'm not gonna get any answers. I'm not gonna get anything, and I don't need things spoon fed. Right?
No,
I just need things to sort of make sense.
Yeah.
Right? To have a subplot have any purpose in being in the film.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. That's that. Did you see the film? Explain it to us.
Yeah, what did you
We're dumb, right?
What?
We didn't get it.
We did not.
But, as I said, good on the lead. So, that's my main takeaway. But other than that, boom, down, nope.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Bye.